Level 1, the dream. You're young, maybe 22, 23. You have this picture in your head of what a police officer looks like. Strong, respected, someone who matters, someone who shows up when everything falls apart. Maybe your dad was a cop. Maybe you grew up in a rough neighborhood and the officers who patrolled your street were the only authority figures who ever treated you with dignity. Or maybe you just want to do something real, something that counts. So, you apply. The application is long. The background check digs into things you forgot existed. They ask about your friends, your family, your financial history, your past mistakes. You sit across from an interviewer in a stiff chair, and he stares at you like he's trying to see through you, because he is. You tell him you want to protect people. He writes something down, he doesn't smile. You pass the written exam, you survive the physical fitness test. Your lungs are burning, but you push through because this is what you want. You keep telling yourself that. Then comes a psychological evaluation. A psychologist asks you questions that feel almost too personal. How do you handle stress? Have you ever felt hopeless? What would you do if you were told to do something you believed was wrong? You answer carefully, honestly. You think. And somewhere in the back of your mind, a quiet voice says, you have no idea what you're walking into. You ignore it. You pass. Level 2. The breaking the academy is not what you expected. You show up on the first day thinking it will be intense, but manageable. It is not manageable. Within the first hour, an instructor is 3 inches from your face, screaming. Not because you did something wrong, because this is the process. They are testing how you respond to pressure before they hand you a gun. You learn quickly that sleep is a privilege. You study law, defensive tactics, firearms, first aid, crisis negotiation, and 100 other things. Your brain is full by 9 p.m., and you have to be up at 5. You get used to being uncomfortable. You get used to being wrong. You get called out in front of everyone, and you stand there and take it, because that's part of it. They need to know you won't crumble when someone much scarier than an instructor is in your face. Some guys quit in the first 2 weeks. You watch them leave, and you feel 2 things at once: sympathy and relief. Relief that it isn't you. Yet there's a moment, around week 6, where you're lying on your bunk staring at the ceiling at midnight, and you think, is this worth it? You don't answer that question. You get up at 5. By graduation day, something has shifted inside you. You're not the same person who walked through those doors. You're harder, quieter, more aware. You shake hands, you receive your badge, and someone takes a photo. You look proud in that photo. What the photo doesn't capture is the weight you can already feel pressing down on your chest. Level 3, the streets. Your first solo shift changes you forever. Not because of some dramatic event. It changes you because of the ordinary things. You respond to a domestic dispute, and you walk into a house where a woman is sitting at the kitchen table with a swollen eye, and she refuses to press charges because she loves him. You can't make her leave. You can't protect her from herself. You drive away feeling helpless, in a way no training prepared you for. You respond to a call about a man threatening suicide on a bridge. You talk to him for 40 minutes in the cold. You learn his name. You learn about his daughter. You get him to step back. Your hands are shaking when it's over, but you keep your voice steady the entire time, because that's the job. Some nights you arrest someone who isn't a bad person, just desperate, just broken. You put the cuffs on anyway because the law doesn't ask you about intentions. You start noticing things, like how you sit with your back to the wall at restaurants now. Like how you're scanning every face in a parking lot without even trying. Like how, when your phone rings at odd hours, your stomach drops before you even look at the screen. Your girlfriend notices too. She says you've become distant. You tell her you're fine. You are not fine. You're just learning to survive. Level 4. The wait. By year 3, you've seen things that don't leave. You've worked accident scenes. You've delivered death notifications. You've stood in a hospital hallway while a doctor told a father that his son didn't make it, and you watched that man collapse against the wall, and you had to be the one who held him up. Literally. Your arms around a stranger who is breaking apart. You carry all of it home. Silently. You don't talk about it, because you were taught that showing weakness is dangerous in this job. And because the people in your personal life don't understand, you try to explain a scene you worked, and you see their face change, and you realize they don't have the language for what you're describing, so you stop trying. You keep it inside. The box gets heavier, you drink more than you used to, not a lot. Just enough to quiet the noise at the end of a hard shift. You tell yourself, everyone does it. Maybe they do. That doesn't make it less dangerous. Your sleep changes. You wake up at 3 a.m. for no reason. Your brain is running scenarios, replaying calls, second-guessing decisions. You lie there in the dark next to someone who is peacefully asleep, and you feel like you're on a different planet. The marriage, if you got married, is struggling. Not because you don't love her. You do. But you're not fully there anymore. Part of you is always back on shift. Always on guard. You forgot how to just be. She says she misses you. You're standing right there and she misses you. That sentence hits harder than any physical threat ever has. Level 5. The darkness. You make detective. This is supposed to be the goal. And it is. You worked hard for it. You earned it, but detective work is a different kind of heavy. You investigate crimes that patrol officers refer and move on from. You live inside those cases for weeks, sometimes months. You read everything. You look at photographs that would destroy a normal person. You sit across from suspects, and you have to be calm, almost friendly, while everything inside you is burning. You learn the art of detachment. You learn to see human beings as puzzles when you need to. Because if you see them as people every second, the job will eat you alive. You work a case involving a child. You don't need specifics. You already know what that means. You work it until it's solved. You don't sleep well for 6 months after. You never really talk about that case. Not to colleagues. Not to family. Not to anyone. Some things stay in the vault because the vault is the only way forward. You start to wonder about the nature of people. You've seen what human beings do to each other. You've read their private messages, their confessions, their excuses. You start finding it hard to fully trust anyone. Not your friends. Not your partner. Not yourself. This is what nobody advertises when they sell you the badge. The loneliness of knowing too much. Level 6. The crisis. This is the level where many men quietly fall apart. Not loudly. Not dramatically. Quietly. In private. In their cars before they go inside. In bathrooms during shifts. In parking lots at midnight. You're in your mid-30s. You've been doing this for over a decade. The years have stacked up. The calls have stacked up. And one day, something small breaks you, not the big case. Something small, a stray dog on the side of the road that you couldn't help. A woman crying on a doorstep for reasons you'll never fully know. And you sit in your car, and you grip the steering wheel, and you stare at nothing for a very long time. You don't call the department helpline. Men like you don't do that. You were raised to handle things. You were trained to handle things. Asking for help feels like an admission that you're no longer fit for the job. So, you swallow it. Again, you start to wonder if the man you were at 22 even exists anymore. If there's anything left of him, if the job took everything and left a shell that functions perfectly on the outside and feels hollow on the inside, you keep going. Because what else do you do? Level 7. The climb. You get promoted to sergeant. You manage people now. Young officers who remind you of yourself a decade ago. Eager. A little naive. Still soft around the edges. You want to protect them from what's coming, but you can't. You just watch. And you recognize every stage in their eyes, and you say nothing because you know they wouldn't hear it anyway. You didn't. Leadership adds a different kind of pressure. Now, the mistakes of your team are partly yours. Every decision, every use of force, every complaint filed, every officer who struggles, it lands on your desk. You're responsible without being fully in control. And that tension is its own kind of exhausting. You fight for your people. You fight for fair treatment, fair scheduling, the resources they need. You fight the administration from the inside. Some battles you win, many you don't. You learn that bureaucracy is its own enemy, that politics exist inside law enforcement just as they exist everywhere else. That doing the right thing and doing the politically safe thing are often not the same. This disillusionment is the quietest grief of all. Level 8. The distance. You're deep in command now. You sit in meetings. You review reports. You make decisions that affect dozens of officers and thousands of civilians. And you make those decisions fast, with incomplete information, and then you live with the outcomes. Your kids, if you have them, have grown up mostly without you. Not physically, but mentally. You were at their games, their graduations, their dinners, but part of you was always somewhere else. On call, running scenarios, carrying the job. Your eldest son told you once that he never wants to be a cop. Something about the way he said it told you he wasn't talking about the danger. He was talking about what it does to a person. You heard him. You didn't argue. At this level, the loneliness is different. You can't really talk to the officers below you the way you used to. The rank creates distance. And the men above you, you're competing with them. So you carry the weight without a team. A leader with no one to lean on. That's the price of rank nobody puts in the brochure. Level 9. The top, you made it. The highest seat in the room. Your name on a door. Officers saluting when you walk through the building. Everything you worked for. And you sit behind your desk on your first morning in this office, and you feel nothing. No celebration, no joy, just a deep, bone-level tiredness that no amount of sleep ever seems to fix anymore. You are now a political figure, as much as a law enforcement one. Every decision you make will be analyzed, criticized, live-streamed, protested, or praised, depending on who is watching. You navigate between the public, the city council, the media, the union, and your officers, and everyone wants something different from you. The pressure here is relentless and invisible. No call to courage, no visible threat, just constant, crushing expectation. You think about the 22-year-old who applied because he wanted to protect people. You haven't been on the street in years. You haven't made an arrest in a decade, and yet, the decisions you make now affect thousands of lives in ways you can barely trace. Is this protecting people? You genuinely don't know anymore. Level 10. The reckoning, retirement comes. People shake your hand. There's a ceremony, a plaque, maybe a small speech. Someone says your name means something to this department. You smile and nod. You drive home. You sit in your chair. The house is quiet. Your kids are grown. Your marriage survived, or it didn't. Either way, you're sitting here now, in the silence that you spent 30 years too busy to notice. And the box opens. Not all at once. Slowly. Night by night. In the dreams that have returned, in the faces that pass through your sleep. The woman who wouldn't leave. The child on that case you never talk about. The man on the bridge you saved, the one you couldn't. You were strong for 30 years. Now the strength has nowhere to go. Some men fall apart in retirement. They don't know who they are without the badge. They've been the job for so long that without it, they're a stranger to themselves. You look in the mirror in the morning, and you see an old man who did his job, who showed up, who put the box away over and over and kept going. Was it worth it? The honest answer is complicated. Yes and no in equal measure. You protected people. You made a difference on hundreds of nights in hundreds of ways that will never be recorded anywhere. You mattered. That's real, but you also lost time that doesn't come back. You missed things that don't get replayed. You changed in ways that affected people who loved you and people who needed you to just be present, and you gave all of that willingly because you believed in something. That belief kept you going. It also cost you everything. Right now, somewhere in your city, a 22-year-old is filling out an application. He has a picture in his head of what it means to be an officer. He's nervous and excited. He wants to protect people. He wants to matter. He has no idea what's coming. And if you were sitting across from him right now, what would you say? Would you warn him? Would you tell him about the box? About the 3 a.m. nights? About the silence that eventually fills every room in your life? Or would you look at that fire in his eyes, that same fire you had, and decide that some things a man has to discover on his own? Some paths can only be understood by walking them. The badge doesn't come with a warning label. Maybe that's by design, because if you knew the full cost before you started, maybe no one would ever start at all. And the world still needs people who start.